It all started with Angel Reese's sudden disappearance. One day, the self-proclaimed Chai Barbie was strutting across the WNBA stage, full of confidence, telling anyone who would listen that she was the face of Chicago basketball. And the next, she was gone. No press conference, no clear explanation, just a vague line from the Chicago Sky front office. Back injury, out indefinitely. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a reasonable excuse. Injuries happen in professional sports all the time. But this one, fans weren't buying it. Because Angel Reese's injuries had become way too predictable. Every single time her hype started slipping, every time her numbers dipped, or the Sky began piling up losses, the same thing happened. Reese vanished. And the excuse was always the same: her back. Fans on social media started connecting the dots. They noticed a pattern. Whenever Chicago went on a losing streak, whenever Reese was criticized for her low shooting percentages or lack of impact against elite competition, suddenly, poof, she'd be out with another back issue. It became so frequent that fans began sarcastically calling it Instagram back, because the only thing Angel seemed healthy enough to do during those absences was keep posting brand deals, photo shoots, and TikToks. And the thing is, the timing was too perfect to ignore. The Sky had dropped 3 straight games. Reese had shot under 30% from the field in 2 of them. The chatter online was growing louder. Is she overrated? Is Angel Reese all hype and no game? And just like that, she was off the floor. Weeks later, the big comeback finally happened. Angel Reese returned to the court. This should have been her triumphant moment, the grand return of Chicago's so-called queen. She probably expected fireworks. She probably expected fans screaming her name, lining up around the block, desperate to see her back in action. At least that's what she had been hyping on Instagram, acting like her absence was the biggest mystery in women's basketball. But when she walked into Wintrust Arena that night, reality hit her like a brick wall. The building was half empty. The Wintrust Arena in Chicago holds about 9,500 fans. On the night of Reese's long-awaited return, only 6,724 people showed up. That's more than 2,700 empty seats. Think about that. This wasn't some random Tuesday preseason game. This was supposed to be the event of the season, the return of a player who, just months earlier, was claiming she was the reason arenas were selling out across the WNBA. Instead, it looked like a mid-tier college scrimmage. And the cherry on top? The Sky lost. Badly. A crushing defeat to the Seattle Storm that turned Angel Reese into the butt of jokes on live television. Analysts didn't sugarcoat it either. She struggled, she looked rusty, and she was, statistically, the most blocked player in the WNBA. This wasn't just embarrassing, it was career-defining, because it proved 2 things. Angel Reese wasn't the draw she thought she was. Fans weren't coming for her, they were coming for the hype machine. And when that hype finally faded, so did the crowd. Chicago Sky supporters had finally lost patience with her disappearing act. The same fans she once flipped off after heckling her were now voting with their feet. Empty seats said more than any boo ever could.
And here's where the humiliation really cuts deep. Just a couple of months before, Angel Reese had been publicly claiming that she was the reason that WNBA was thriving. She bragged about sellout crowds. She suggested that people came to watch her, not anyone else. But the truth? Fans had receipts. Because when Caitlin Clark played, even preseason games were packed. Clark's road games tripled attendance. Entire arenas sold out within hours. The Fever's ratings skyrocketed, breaking ESPN records. Meanwhile, when Clark wasn't on the floor, those numbers crashed. And on the night Reese came back, with Clark nowhere in sight, Chicago couldn't even fill its own arena. The comparison was brutal. One star was undeniably carrying the league into a new era. The other was clinging to Instagram likes and excuses.
At this point, the whispers became shouts. Fans started saying the quiet part out loud. Angel Reese wasn't injured at all. This was a scam. Not in the literal money-stealing sense, but in the way she manipulated narratives. Every absence was perfectly timed. Every excuse lined up with moments where she was playing poorly. And every return was framed like a comeback story, a way to reset the hype and dodge accountability. Even diehard Sky fans admitted it felt like a stunt. One fan on Twitter put it bluntly, "Angel's back injury has the same timing as a kid faking sick to skip a test. We're not stupid." Another wrote, "She disappears when she's bad, then shows up acting like a savior. That's not an injury, that's a hustle."
Let's be fair for a moment. Angel Reese has been under insane pressure since she entered the league. She's not just a player, she's a brand, a cultural icon, and a lightning rod for controversy. Every move she makes is scrutinized. Every post gets dissected. Every mistake becomes a headline. And unlike some rookies who can quietly develop, Reese has been living under the brightest spotlight imaginable. So, is it possible she really was injured? Of course. But the problem is credibility. Fans don't trust her anymore. Her patterns look like stunts. Her excuses sound like spin. And once the audience turns on you, there's no going back.
And then came the moment that cemented everything. During her ugly return game against the Seattle Storm, as boos trickled in and hecklers shouted from the stands, cameras caught Angel Reese doing the unthinkable, flipping off her own fans. It wasn't a playful gesture. It wasn't in the heat of a game-winning play. It was pure frustration, boiling over in real time, aimed directly at the people who had once supported her. That single moment went viral instantly. Memes, screenshots, tweets, TikToks. Suddenly, Reese wasn't just a player accused of faking injuries. She was the villain.
And that's the tragedy of Angel Reese's story right now. What should have been a triumphant return turned into a public unraveling. Empty seats, a crushing loss, a middle finger to the fans. But here's the real question. Was this all by design? Was Reese intentionally leaning into the villain role, trying to cash in on controversy, the same way some athletes thrive on being hated? Or was this a complete implosion of a player who couldn't handle the pressure? Because if the injury was fake, if the scam was real, and if the flip-off was intentional, then Angel Reese may have just written herself into WNBA infamy. And the fallout? Oh, it's only just beginning.
The boos were just the beginning. Angel Reese thought the backlash would stop at a few hecklers in the stands. But once fans saw her flip them off on live television, the reaction online turned nuclear. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all flooded with clips of Reese raising her middle finger. It wasn't just Chicago Sky supporters roasting her, it was the entire basketball community. And this is where the story exploded from a bad game into a full-blown controversy. Because fans weren't just mad about one gesture, they were connecting it to something much bigger. Angel Reese's pattern of disappearing acts, fake injuries, and excuses.
The hashtag started trending almost immediately. Hashtag Rescam. Hashtag Backgate. Hashtag ChiBarbieCon. Fans accused her of scamming the Chicago Sky by faking injuries to avoid accountability while still cashing checks. Some even said her entire WNBA career so far has been built on smoke and mirrors. One viral tweet read, "Angel Reese fakes an injury, misses weeks, comes back, plays trash, flips off the fans, then disappears again. This is the WNBA's Kyrie Irving." Another hit even harder. She doesn't play for the Sky, she plays for Instagram. Period. The narrative was locked in. Reese wasn't just struggling, she was becoming a villain.
And let's be honest, fans had a point. Reese's injury breaks always seemed suspiciously well-timed. Chicago loses 3 games, she's gone. Her numbers start to dip, suddenly her back hurts. And then, like clockwork, she'd re-emerge weeks later, posting glamorous photo shoots, flexing new endorsement deals, and acting like she was still the face of the franchise. It became a running joke. Comment sections were filled with sarcastic lines like, "Oh no, the Instagram model's back is acting up again. Doctors diagnosed her with clout fatigue. Prayers up for her social media manager's wrist injury from typing all these excuses." Here's where things got ugly. Fans started accusing Reese of prioritizing her brand over her game. And honestly, that argument had teeth. Because while Caitlin Clark was out here shattering attendance records, dropping historic stat lines, and carrying Indiana Fever games to ESPN's primetime slots, Reese was racking up sponsorships, with much less production on the floor. Endorsements, magazine covers, fashion shoots, Instagram ads, you name it, Reese was signing it. Now, there's nothing wrong with athletes monetizing their image, but in Reese's case, it fed the perception that she wasn't actually committed to basketball, that she was playing for clicks, not championships.
It wasn't just fans anymore. The media joined in. On ESPN, one analyst bluntly said, "If Angel Reese spent half as much time in the gym as she does online, maybe Chicago would be winning games." A Chicago Tribune columnist wrote, "The Sky didn't sign a forward, they signed a brand ambassador. And the fans are done pretending otherwise." Even former WNBA players chimed in. A retired veteran posted, "You can't fool the league. We all see the same thing. Real ones know the difference between a legit injury and a disappearing act." That was the dagger.
Once players started questioning her legitimacy, the walls were closing in.
And then, of course, there was the infamous flip-off. That single moment turned Reese from controversial into hated because it symbolized everything fans were accusing her of. Arrogance, disrespect, entitlement. Instead of owning her struggles, instead of addressing the criticism, Reese gave fans the finger. Literally. And the worst part? She didn't even apologize. When reporters asked her about it post-game, she brushed it off with a smirk, saying, "Y'all are always going to talk about me. Good or bad, it's still my name in your mouth." That quote spread like wildfire. Some saw it as unapologetic confidence, but most fans, they saw it as pure arrogance. The same arrogance that had them booing in the first place. Here's where things reached a breaking point. Rumors began circulating that Reese's injury wasn't just exaggerated, it might have been a flat-out cover-up. According to fan theories, Reese was faking absences to protect her stats, sit out when she was struggling so her averages wouldn't dip, protect her image, disappear during losing streaks so she wouldn't be the face of failure, protect her brand deals, create hype around her grand return so every comeback felt like an event. It was a clever cycle. Disappear, stir speculation, return with maximum attention. But the cost? Fans stopped trusting her entirely. And that's when people started calling Angel Reese the new villain of the WNBA. Think about it. Every league has its lightning rod. The player fans love to hate. For years, that role belonged to Diana Taurasi or Liz Cambage. But in 2025, all signs point to Reese. Not because she's the best player, not because she's the most dominant, but because she embodies controversy. The drama follows her everywhere, and to some extent, maybe she wants it that way.
The problem is the Chicago Sky are paying the price. Instead of focusing on building chemistry, they're fielding questions about Reese's disappearing acts. Instead of celebrating wins, they're defending their star from fan backlash. Teammates are reportedly frustrated. One insider claimed, "The locker room's tired of the drama. They want a leader, not a headline." And that's the real danger here. Reese's antics aren't just damaging her own reputation, they're dragging the entire franchise into chaos. And then there's Caitlin Clark. Every time Reese slips, Clark shines brighter. Every time Reese is accused of faking injuries, Clark's toughness gets praised. Every time Reese flips off fans, Clark signs autographs for kids in the stands. It's the ultimate comparison, and it's killing Reese's reputation. Because no matter how many brand deals she lands, no matter how much she hypes herself, fans keep asking the same question. Where's the production? Where's the proof?
Now the pressure is at an all-time high. Angel Reese is standing at a crossroads. She can either double down on the villain role, embracing the boos, the memes, and the controversy, or she can try to rebuild her credibility, put her head down, and prove she's more than Instagram hype. But after flipping off the fans, after rumors of injury scams, after being exposed on national TV, does she even have that chance anymore? Because here's the brutal truth. The WNBA is growing fast. Caitlin Clark is carrying the league to new heights. Fans are packing arenas coast to coast. And if Angel Reese does a step up now, she risks being remembered not as a pioneer, but as a punchline.
The middle finger was the spark, the fan outrage was the fire, but the fallout, that's the part Angel Reese never saw coming. Because what started as whispers of her faking an injury has now snowballed into a full-on debate about her legacy, her credibility, and even her future in the WNBA. And the question on everyone's mind is simple. Can Angel Reese bounce back, or has she officially become the villain of women's basketball?
In sports, injuries are serious business. When a player goes down, fans expect honesty, transparency, respect for the game. But when you disappear multiple times with vague excuses, then pop back up only when it benefits your narrative, you create a credibility crisis. And that's exactly what Angel Reese is facing. Every time the Chicago Sky release an injury update now, fans don't believe it. Every time Reese says she's hurting, people laugh. And that kind of distrust is poison. Because once the fans stop believing in you, once they think you're scamming the system, it doesn't matter how many rebounds you grab or points you score, your reputation is already damaged.
Let's talk about those fans. Chicago used to embrace Reese. They bought the jerseys, made TikToks of her highlights, and hyped up her Chi Barbie nickname. But after the disappearing acts and that infamous flip-off, something broke.
You can hear it in the arena. Boos where there used to be cheers, silence where there used to be energy, entire sections of empty seats where once the sky were pushing towards sellouts. Fans feel betrayed, and betrayal hits deeper than disappointment. One season ticket holder told the Chicago Tribune, "We wanted her to be our star, but she doesn't even respect us enough to tell the truth. Why should we keep showing up?" That's not just anger, that's abandonment. And if Reese can't repair that relationship, the Sky's home court advantage may never recover. And here's the bigger issue. Angel Reese isn't just fighting for the Chicago Sky, she's fighting for her legacy. Think about it. The WNBA is entering a golden era. Caitlin Clark is breaking records. A'ja Wilson is cementing her Hall of Fame resume. Breanna Stewart is building a dynasty. So where does Angel Reese fit in? Right now, she's not being remembered for double-doubles. She's not being remembered for her hustle on the boards. She's being remembered for controversies, the disappearing acts, the fake injury rumors, the flip-off to her own fans. Instead of highlights, her career is being defined by headlines. And that's a dangerous place to be, because when history looks back, it doesn't care about Instagram likes, it cares about impact. And right now, Reese's impact is being drowned out by the noise she created herself.
But let's be fair, not everyone is ready to throw her under the bus. Some insiders argue Reese is being unfairly targeted. They point out that Caitlin Clark's rise has cast a huge shadow over the league, and any player compared to her was bound to face backlash. Others suggest Reese's injuries might be real, but the poor communication from the Chicago Sky's front office made things worse. Instead of clear medical updates, fans got vague statements, leaving room for conspiracy theories to grow. And some fans, especially younger ones, still see Reese as a cultural icon. They love her confidence, her style, her unapologetic attitude. For them, Angel Reese isn't a scammer, she's a fighter. So, the divide is real. For every critic calling her a fraud, there's still a fan calling her a queen.
But the damage isn't limited to Angel Reese. This controversy is spilling over into the entire WNBA. The league is growing fast. Ratings are surging. Attendance records are being shattered. But stories like this, players accused of faking injuries, flipping off fans, prioritizing brand over basketball, risk undermining that progress. Because at the end of the day, fans want authenticity. They want to believe in the stars they support. And if Reese becomes the poster child for hype over substance, it feeds every old stereotype about women's basketball struggling to be taken seriously. That's why this matters. This isn't just about one player. It's about the league's credibility.
So can Angel Reese recover from all this? The answer is yes, but it won't be easy. She'll have to start with accountability. That means admitting mistakes, being honest about her injuries, and rebuilding trust with her fans. No more disappearing acts. No more vague statements. Transparency has to be the foundation. Next, she has to deliver on the court. Hustle, defense, production. If she wants people to respect her game, she has to let her play do the talking. Because at the end of the day, numbers don't lie. If she puts up big stats and leads Chicago to wins, fans will forgive a lot. But most importantly, she has to decide who she wants to be. Is she the villain, leaning into the boos and controversy? Or is she the leader, the star who overcomes adversity and proves everyone wrong? Right now, she's stuck in between, and that's the worst place to be.
Meanwhile, the Caitlin Clark comparison isn't going away. Clark is thriving, she's breaking records, she's winning fans, she's becoming the face of the WNBA, and the more she succeeds, the worse Reese looks by comparison. It's the ultimate irony. Their rivalry made headlines back in college, and now it's shaping their professional legacies. One is being celebrated as a hero, the other is being painted as a villain. And unless Reese changes her narrative soon, that contrast will define her career forever.
So where does this leave Angel Reese? Best case scenario, she embraces the challenge, shuts down the critics, and proves she's more than a brand. She becomes the tough, resilient star Chicago Sky fans thought they were getting. She leans into the rivalry with Caitlin Clark and turns it into fuel, not failure. Worst case scenario, she keeps playing the disappearing act. She keeps faking injuries. She keeps flipping off fans. And eventually, the league and the fans move on without her. Because here's the truth. The WNBA doesn't need Angel Reese to survive anymore. With Clark, Wilson, Stewart, and Boston carrying the torch, the league is in good hands. If Reese wants to be part of that future, the ball is in her court. Angel Reese is standing at the edge of two paths, redemption or infamy.
Will she silence the critics and prove her worth on the hardwood? Or will her career forever be defined by fake injuries, social media drama, and that one middle finger to the fans? Only time will tell. But what do you think? Was Angel Reese really injured, or was this all a scam? Can she recover her reputation, or is her villain arc permanent? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that like button if you're ready for more WNBA breakdowns, and don't forget to subscribe because this story is far from over.